Chilling secrets exposed beneath Antarctica's ice. A sinister curse revealed after 30,000 years. Lisa stared at the headline, her heart pounding wildly. The news rocked Fairview. Just as the town's sputtering spirit began to lift, a nightmare clawed its way to the surface, rising like a specter from a frozen grave. She rushed through the hospital doors, a whirl of fluorescent lights and tired faces. The excitement buzzed around her. Something sinister had been unearthed, and she couldn't shake the feeling that it was a harbinger of doom. Her gut twisted. Would it rub off on Danny? The icy shovel strikes from the construction crew echoed in her head. Artifacts, they said, emblems of a past buried deep beneath the ice. The townsfolk buzzed with eager hope, but Lisa felt sickness in her bones. It gnawed at her. Where was Danny? The boy who once looked up to her now spent evenings whispering to Mr. Thompson, the strange local historian stranger who had taken a keen interest in the findings. Every hour stirred her fear, wild and whirling. Then came that eerie night. Lisa stood in her kitchen, the flickering bulb casting long shadows, when a terrifying noise that sliced through the stillness. A guttural cry, primal straight from the depths of the earth. She shivered, gripping the countertop as if trying to solidify reality around her. The whispers were back, laced with panic. No sooner had the last echoes faded than her neighbor, Mrs. Hargrove, vanished without a trace. Lisa's heart raced, pounding like a war drum. Missing? Lisa gasped to Aaron, the night supervisor. People don't just disappear. He shrugged. Too jaded now, the wear of Fairview had etched suspicion onto every face. The more they buried the artifacts beneath the rink, the more the air thickened like smoke. Panic shriveled the hairs on the back of her neck. Her phone buzzed, revealing a text from Danny. Stay away. I can't let you get hurt. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. Panic bled into paranoia as the townsfolk gathered for the rink's grand opening. Laughter and excitement masked tension beneath the surface. But Lisa felt it like a crack under pressure, waiting to snap. She found herself drawn toward the rink's glimmering surface. Beneath it, ice that had held secrets captive for millennia shimmered with haunting allure. Then they began to skate. Laughter transformed into hollow shrieks. Something had gone horribly wrong. A figure, a shadow, darted across the frozen mass, glimpsed by none save her. The ice cracked ominously underfoot, and whispers swirled as if alive. The joyous celebration morphed into chaos, shadows creeping closer. The curse was no longer history but a vibrant beast, waking from its long slumber, eager to reclaim its due. Dread clawed at Lisa's throat. Where was Danny? The darkness closed in around her, and suddenly she felt it, an unshakable bond entwining her love, fear, and the cursed secrets beneath the ice. It was about to engulf them both. As the townsfolk screamed, their faces twisted in terror, Lisa locked eyes on Danny, now pale and trembling near the rink's edge. She had to save him before the curse consumed them all. The air crackled with tension as Lisa darted through the chaos, hands trembling at her sides. She could feel panic rising like the tide, people screaming, some falling to their knees, others frantically searching for loved ones. The shadows seemed to curl around them, pulling them into the darkness. Each breath she took felt constricted. All she could think about was Danny. Danny, she shouted, her voice fighting through the cacophony, panic lacing her every word. He stared back at her, wide-eyed and trembling. The faint glow of the moon caught his face, pale and streaked with fear, a ghost too afraid to move. The ice beneath them groaned, an angry beast disturbed from its slumber. It cracked loudly, sending sharp jabs of sound reverberating through the air. And Lisa could swear she heard distant whispers, resonating like a warning chant. They echoed like a choir of the damned, chilling to her very core. Desperation clawed at her vocal cords. "Danny, move!" She raised her hand, but he seemed paralyzed, his feet glued to the ground as the figure flickered just beyond the edge of the rink. Lisa lunged forward, instinct overtaking fear. She could barely see what it was, just a silhouette dancing mockingly in and out of view, taunting them all. She pushed through the throng, her body slamming against terrified spectators, each of whom seemed lost in their own nightmare as she advanced. The air thickened, gnawing at her lungs. The whispers grew louder. "Help us, join us," they were soft and sinister, worming their way into her mind, drowning out reason. They were beckoning. She almost stumbled, almost surrendered to the terror. "Danny!" She screamed again, but no answer came. The shadow morphed, twisting like smoke, and then Vanessa from down the street stumbled toward her, hair matted, eyes wild. "We have to get out," she screamed, her voice raw and scratched. "It's coming. The curse is real." The ice burst with a guttural roar, sending chills sprawling down Lisa's spine. Danny finally took a hesitant step backward. She saw recognition flicker in his eyes, a desperate plea for help. Lisa reached out as he started to turn toward the shadow flickering like a candle in the wind. "Don't look," his face contorted with anguish. "Run, Lisa, just run." But he didn't move. The curse had him in its grip. She dashed forward, heart racing. She needed to shove him away from the edge where the ice groaned and threatened to yield. With every step, the shadows whirled around her, more tangible, suffocating. Creeping dread stung her skin. Was this how it ended? Cold, claustrophobic panic swelled as she grabbed for Danny's arm, the warmth of his skin igniting a flicker of hope. "We can't stay here," she urged, pulling him with all her strength. Suddenly, the ground quaked violently beneath them, a sudden crack splitting the rink wide open. Gasps filled the air, a collective astonishment mixing with despair. The ice shattered on all sides, sending jagged shards flying through the crowd like dangerous shrapnel. People tried to leap back, but it was too late. The darkness surged forth, a dreadful wave of cold, eager to swallow everything in its path as people fell or were pulled down by unseen hands. Lisa felt something wrap around her ankle. She shrieked, realizing the icy hands of the curse were reaching, snatching at her. "Danny!" He was slipping away, pulled toward the shadow. "You have to go." His voice cracked like the ice. And in that moment, she knew that something sinister from beneath could not be contained. The curse was returning, reclaiming what was once theirs. Would she be able to save him, or would the darkness take both of them? With one last desperate pull against the curse, she felt hope slip further away as the whispers crescendoed, promising doom. Each breath she took felt like poison as she sensed the encroaching abyss. Then, everything went black. What awaited them in the void? The darkness was only just beginning. Darkness enveloped them, thickening like smoke, choking out sound and light. Lisa's mind raced. In that suffocating void, she felt suspended, as if time had lost all meaning. The cold clamped onto her, creeping into her bones, numbing her resolve. Her pulse pounded in her ears, drowning out the silent screams echoing around her. Somewhere, she could sense Danny's presence. Just beyond her reach, his fear, a physical thing, palpable. "Danny!" She tried to shout, but her voice was swallowed by the relentless blackness. Panic clawed at her chest. She could feel the frigid grip tightening around her ankle like a vice, dragging her down, deeper into the shadows. "No, not like this." Determination surged, and with a gasp, she yanked her foot free, stumbling backward into a sudden swell of motion. Light flickered, a distant memory piercing through the bedlam. She blinked, trying to orient herself in this abyss. "Danny!" Her voice carried, breaking the stranglehold of silence. "Hold on." A whisper snaked through the gloom, a chill against her ear. "Join us." The words coiled around her heart, squeezing tighter. Each syllable dripped with sorrowful longing, a requiem of the forsaken. Shadows swayed, a grotesque ballet that pulled at her sanity. "Leave him alone," Lisa screamed, anger suddenly surging in a wave against her fear. The darkness recoiled momentarily, and in that fleeting moment, she spotted a glimmer, a silver strand of moonlight cutting through. Without thinking, she hurled herself towards it. Her feet ached against the jagged shards of ice as she ran, propelled by desperation and adrenaline. "Danny, I want to let you go." But the whispers grew more insistent, pursuing her like a haunting specter. Come back, the words wrapped around her, clawing at her resolve, trying to lure her back. Then, like a cruel joke, the ice beneath her began to crack once more, fissures spidering outwards. With a shriek, she skidded to a halt. She was teetering on the brink of oblivion, where the ice met the impenetrable void below. Frantic, she scanned the area, eyes landing on a dark shape shifting near the edge. Suddenly he was there, Danny, the boy who had always known how to find her in the storm. He stood at the precipice, eyes wide, the shadow looming over him, whispering promises that seemed to melt his will. "Lisa, help!" Fear unfurled in her chest like a poisonous flower. "Danny!" She darted forward again, arms outstretched, ready to pull him back from the jaws of darkness. But before she could reach him, the curse surged like a monstrous tide, the shadows swallowing him whole. A piercing scream tore through the air, his voice, distorted and trapped in the void. It shattered something deep inside Lisa, and in that moment, everything came crashing down. She felt a shuddering wave of despair overwhelm her, drowning out all hope. Then, impossibly, she was yanked back. A force, an unseen hand clutched her, pulling her away from the edge. Lisa's heart raced, a frantic desperation coursing through her veins. The whispers became a requiem again, melding into a sinister blend that echoed her name. "Help us!" The chorus rattled her bones with a final wrench. She twisted away from the clutching hands of the abyss, her other foot slipping. She hit the ice, a bone-jarring impact, and braced herself. Laughter erupted from the shadows, a haunting echo of malice. She rose, breathless, realizing the sheer power of the curse trying to ensnare her. But even in terror, a spark ignited within, a flicker of rebellion. "Leave us alone!" She screamed into the darkness, defying the unseen evil that loomed over them. But then, a roar erupted from the depths, and fragments of ice burst around her, threatening to pull her down. The shadows relented momentarily, but not for long. What awaited her next? As she steadied her breath, determination igniting her spirit, Lisa knew that this confrontation was only beginning. Would she unlock the curse or be consumed by it? The shadows twisted, eager for their feast. As the darkness closed in again, would she find Danny in time, or would they both fall into the abyss? The icy expanse loomed around Lisa, the relentless darkness a suffocating blanket. She felt the last remnants of warmth slip from her fingers, replaced by the icy grip of despair. Any sense of direction had dissolved, leaving her disoriented. "Danny!" she breathlessly called again, but the sound felt like a whisper swallowed by eternity. Each heartbeat thundered in her ears, a reminder of her vulnerability in this merciless void. The laughter from the shadows echoed back mockingly, jagged and cruel, slicing through her resolve. She shook her head, banishing the fear that threatened to consume her whole. She stepped carefully, feeling the brittle ice under her feet, each crack a warning. With a sudden burst, a shimmering glow broke through the crushing darkness. A vague outline of a figure appeared. It resembled Danny, suspended in silence, his eyes wide and pleading. "Danny!" Lisa cried, lunging forward, desperation propelling her. "Stay away!" The shadow's voice slithered through the air, dripping with malice. It wrapped around her, anchoring her to the spot. The icy tendrils of the darkness reached out, coiling around her wrists, pulling her back. "Let him go!" Lisa shouted, fighting against the grip, but the shadows only tightened, dragging her down, deeper into despair. The ice creaked ominously beneath her, the air thick with a heavy dread. Every fiber of her being surged with an ancient instinct to survive. "Join us," the voice hissed again, a seduction in the dark. The promises unfurled like a siren's song, weaving through her thoughts. Images swirled in her mind, memories of laughter, of warmth, of the life she once knew. But this wasn't life. It was a trap. No! Lisa screamed, wrenching her arms free, adrenaline surging as she fought against the unseen chains. With a fierce determination, she stumbled back, breathless but resolute. Her mind raced. She remembered the tales her grandmother used to tell: the curse, the trapped souls, the price of defiance. "Danny!" she cried again, her heart pounding against her ribs as she searched for any hint of his presence. Clarity began to return like a forgotten song, notes falling into place. If there was a curse, there had to be a way to break it. But as she steadied herself, something shifted in the air. A figure emerged from the shadows, more defined now. The cold sapped her courage, and fear coiled tightly around her throat. It was a monstrous silhouette, eyes glowing like embers, promising torment. It reached out, claws glistening in the faint light, and drew closer. "Your strength is admirable, human," it taunted, voice like thunder over ice. "But it will not save you." Lisa felt panic rise, a fresh wave of raw fear. She was facing something beyond comprehension, an ancient entity, feeding off their despair, thriving on fear. But she couldn't back down, not now. "Danny!" she shouted again, no longer a plea but a command. "Fight! Please! Fight it!" The shadows trembled, recoiling at her words. The whispers faded momentarily, leaving a deafening silence. Lisa's heart raced as she caught a flicker, a spark of light reflecting in the dark. She rushed toward the glow, unyielding in the face of terror. As she moved, the tension snapped back like a coiled spring. The dark figure lunged, howling like a banshee. The ice cracked beneath Lisa's feet, threatening to swallow her whole as she leaped. But what awaited her beyond that luminous harbor? Would this newfound strength be enough to shatter the darkness, or would it lead her into an even deeper nightmare? The ice shattered, and the world unraveled around her. The world collapsed into chaos as Lisa plunged through the shattering ice, the abyss yawning beneath her. Frigid water engulfed her, a gasp escaping her lips as icy tendrils clawed at her. The suffocating grip of the darkness swirled around her, relentless and unforgiving. She kicked against the cold, desperate to surface, to breathe. But shadows chased her, vicious whispers trailing behind, urging her to surrender. "Join us, it's easier," they coaxed, each syllable a dagger against her will. But something within her ignited. The flicker of light she had seen pulsed in her chest, igniting a fierce warmth. The echoes of laughter flooded her mind, Danny's laugh, a beacon in the dark. She churned her legs, clawing toward the surface, her heart pounding like thunder, a signal of defiance. Breaking through the ice, she inhaled sharply, lungs filling with biting, cold air. But she was not free. The shadow lurked above, its claws slick and gleaming with dark intentions. It descended, blocking any light that dared to flicker. "Foolish girl," the voice boomed, resonating with ancient rage. "You cannot escape what you owe." What she owed. Lisa pressed her back against a fragment of ice, her breath coming in ragged gasps. She felt water lap at her feet, icy fingers inching closer. She had to fight. "Danny!" she yelled, a determination surging inside her. "Fight!" The darkness shuddered, and she could almost hear it snarl in frustration. But she sensed a change, a softening. The shadows stuttered as if trying to hold their ground against her fierce resolve. For a fleeting moment, the cold fog of despair retreated, flickering as if confused by her spirit. "Lisa," a whisper echoed, barely audible in the clamoring chaos. It was Danny. Her heart soared, tethering her to hope. "Hang on. I'm coming," she shouted, turning and weaving through frigid water, propelled by a potent mix of fear and love. The world twisted around her, but she wasn't afraid. She could feel his presence, the warmth of him pulling her straight, guiding her toward the flickering light that danced against the suffocating backdrop. Reaching the icy surface again, she found it splintered. But beyond it lay a glimmering path of fractured ice shrouded in moody shadows. She hesitated for just a heartbeat, doubt creeping in. The voice thundered, sly and mocking, sounding so much like Danny now twisted and broken by darkness. Come home, come with me, it beckoned. Like the familiar call of a lost loved one, Lisa felt her resolve begin to waver. The shimmering glow was fading, the dark figure looming, and it was getting harder to recall the Danny she knew, the kind-hearted boy raised in sunlight. Lisa, please, the voice called again, this time layered beneath the shadows, hauntingly familiar yet grotesquely distorted. You can't fight them. You belong here with us. I want tea, she screamed, though a tremor crept into her tone as she strained to distinguish the voice she longed for. I want Danny back, not this. As her heart raced, she steeled herself, staring down the darkness swallowing her world. You want tea, take him from me. A roar erupted from behind her as the shadows lunged, the ice cracking under the pressure. She could feel the barrier erode, the chilling reality of her danger pulsing. Desperation engulfed her. In every corner, chaos tugged at her mind, shadows swirling, threatening to drag her back. But then, she remembered. If she could find a way to break this curse, to face the entity that had taken so many, there was hope. For Danny, for herself, for freedom. That in the tumult of her thoughts, something sharp and bright broke through, the realization that ancient souls trapped here for far too long craved release just as much as she did. If she could awaken them, harness their struggle for light, maybe they could defeat the darkness feeding on despair. Rattled but undeterred, she took a deep breath, steeling herself for what lay ahead, her heart echoing with a challenging pulse. Let us do this. As she launched herself over jagged shards of ice, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Just beyond the flickering glow, eyes peered out from the shadows, lost souls whose stories had been forgotten. Were they friends or foes? She pushed forward, a lone beacon in the encroaching dark. Somewhere behind her, a familiar voice called her name, but it wasn't Danny S. And as she plunged deeper into the unknown, she exhaled into the void, knowing she was entering a world where the boundary between rescue and doom blurred irreparably. What awaited her in the depths of this cursed nightmare? Would she be the savior or the sacrificial pawn in this unending game of shadows? The water surged around her, heavier now, as if alive, pulling her back. Lisa swallowed hard, pushing against the tide of chilled despair. Each stroke seemed to ignite the restless shadows, and bursts of light began to flicker before her, revealing glimmers of faces frozen in terror. Muted cries clawed at her mind, forgotten pleas mingling with her own. Help us! They whispered in a mournful chant, their hollow eyes glimmering with trapped agony. Shadows threaded through their forms, twisting like serpents. The realization crept in, these were the souls caught in the net of despair, echoing their terror. Were they enemies, or were they desperate allies? She hesitated, the weight of their suffering pressing against her heart. What do you want? She shouted, battling to sound brave despite the quivering of her voice. Release us, a woman shrieked, her anguished face flickering. You can break the curse. The shadows twisted more violently, their anger palpable. Lisa's mind raced. If these suffering souls had been trapped here, then maybe, just maybe, they knew the darkness's secret. And if she could learn it, she could fight back. Her determination solidified. She couldn't turn away now. Not when hope glimmered like the ice around her. Can you show me how? She pleaded, her words almost swallowed by the rising dark tide. I need to know. Help me. The shadows rumbled with uncertainty. Then the faces began to blur, coalescing into a singular voice that echoed through the icy cavern. Gather the light that still exists within. It beckoned, and an eerie calm washed over her. She felt the stillness feed into her just for a moment. Images danced in her mind, fleeting moments of life, laughter, light spilling through trees in summer, warmth spreading through the air. Inside, a part of her ignited, and she grasped it fiercely, rallying the memories against the chill creeping in from the dark. Lisa steadied herself, searching for her own light. Danny's laugh bubbled within her, a glowing ember against the cold. Danny, I can hear you, she cried out, drawing the warmth closer. Don't disappear, please. Suddenly, The shadows roared in protest, swirling around her with furious intensity. The whispering spirits wrung their hands, faces contorting in fear. The keeper approaches. They cried, their voices rising in panic. In a heartbeat, everything shifted. The water glimmered, and the surface above rippled, churning dramatically as if an unseen weight pressed down on it. Something vast, something ancient was near. A dark figure emerged from the depths, scraping its way through the water with terrifying ease, eyes glowing like dying stars. Her light belongs to the depths, it growled, its voice reverberating like an earthquake. Dropping back, Lisa felt the frigid water clamp around her, pushing her down, drawing her toward that horrific thing surfacing. With every instinct screaming at her to fight, she felt the darkness wrap around her, its pressure intense. Panic bubbled in her chest, and the flame of hope flickered uncertainly. "Danny!" She screeched again, but the sound was swallowed, lost to the churning chaos. But then, another voice broke through, an echo that was not of despair but strength. "Fight! Lisa! You are more than this darkness. You carry their hope." It thrummed through her, and suddenly, she understood. She had to confront this terror head-on. Every fragment of light, every memory of warmth, pulsed through her veins. This dark entity had taken too much already. With a guttural scream, she pushed forward against the tide, summoning her memories, channeling their strength, illuminating the icy expanse around her. "Stay back," she shouted, voice turning to a fierce roar. What emerged was a blinding cascade of light that surged to encase her. But the shadows lunged, clawing for dominance, hungry for her spirit. They twisted, confused, momentarily stunned by her radiance. "Now!" she commanded the lost souls, finding their aching voices resonating with her own cry. Together, as they began to harmonize with her own light, the darkness faltered, shadows shriveling under their collective warmth. Lisa felt it, her path to the light forming, thickening like ice beneath her feet, ready to bridge the abyss. But as victory tasted sweet on her tongue, something deeper shifted in the dark waters below. An ancient presence stirred, something far older and sinister than she ever imagined. Awakening from its long slumber, what lay below? Would she be able to emerge from the jaws of the coming storm, or would this darkness consume her entirely? The great being roiled up through the murky depths, its serpentine form undulating closer to Lisa. The icy water was now a frigid prison, squeezing her lungs tight as the spectral hands of trapped souls encircled her, their shivering voices blending into one vast wail. But she wouldn't give in. Mustering every ounce of courage, she flared her inner light, radiating warmth, a beacon fighting against the consuming darkness. The keeper writhed above her, its eyes glowing with menace, as if they could snuff out her light with a single glare. "Foolish child," it hissed, the words slamming into her like icy shards. "You think you can resist? This is my realm. You have no power here." Fear ran icicles down her spine, but it only fueled her determination. She could feel the energy of the lost souls melding with her own, a reservoir of hope she could tap into. "I won't let you take me. I won't let you take anyone," she bellowed, summoning strength from within. The keeper roared in fury, breaking the surface, its head lifting to reveal a monstrous maw filled with teeth like jagged obsidian rocks. "You will join them. You will become one with this darkness." Around her, the trapped spirits cried out, their torment pulling at her heart. The more she focused on their suffering, the heavier the weight of their despair became. But in that moment she had an idea. She wouldn't simply fight against the darkness. She would transform it. "Maybe you're right," she shouted, defiance coursing through her. "But my light can cut through you. You've feasted on fear and misery for too long now. Let me show you." The palpable energy leaped from her chest as she poured her essence into the light, each heartbeat steeping it in life. "I am more than just this darkness. I am the laughter. I am the warmth." A sudden brightness exploded from her, a radiant wave that surged like molten gold. It crashed against the keeper, illuminating a path through the thick gloom of terror. For a moment, the world outside blurred, and she found herself in a dazzling cocoon of warmth and love, filling her with solace and fire. With every ounce of will, she pulled the spirits towards her, igniting them with her own light. "Come, you're not alone anymore," she shouted, their comprised hope curling around her like tendrils of light. But the keeper, wounded and furious, retaliated. It convulsed violently, casting dark tendrils to snuff her light. The shadows hissed in fury, slashing at her in desperate attempts to reclaim their former control. "No," she screamed, her voice raw. "We can break this. Together." In that heartbeat, a strange sound broke through, a harmonious chime that echoed in the dark. The combined energy of the souls rhythmically pulsed around her, forming a protective barrier. But then a chilling realization crept in. The keeper wasn't just an enemy. It thrived on fear, her pain, and maybe, just maybe, surrendering that clarity might unlock a more profound connection. Tentatively, she thought of her own fears, the worries of hopelessness, the haunting reminders of loss. Instead of pushing them away, she let them wash over her. She fully embraced her sorrow, bringing it into the light. Suddenly, the keeper paused. Its serpentine body flickered, shadows and shape dancing to the rhythm of her truth. "You accept me?" it murmured, confusion lacing its voice. But before she could respond, the abyss roared. Beneath her feet, cracks splintered across the ice, spreading like wildfire. The keeper was shaking, losing its grasp on the void as it fought the encroaching light. It was angry. It was afraid. As fissures split beneath the weight of the turmoil, a realization gnawed at Lisa. The keeper wasn't just a threat. It was a guardian bound by chains of despair. A guardian designed to frighten those who dared approach the ancient secrets that lay just below the surface. "He is afraid of what we might unleash together," she gasped, feeling the moment teetering between final destruction and rebirth. But the shadows were rising again, desperate and hungry. Lisa's heart thundered as she fought to control the light, praying it would be enough to shatter the darkness and set the keeper free. As the void roared back, the last vestiges of warmth flickered and the ice splintered wider. She realized choosing to fight was only part of it. Would embracing the darkness be the key to breaking free, or would it shatter her spirit forever? Waves of chaos swelled, pulling her under, as the keeper screamed and the worlds collided. Blurring the line between light and dark, would she find a way to turn the keeper into an ally or be consumed completely? The ice cracked again, a thunderous roar beneath her as Lisa felt the world shift. She was tumbling into darkness, her body weightless, the cold vortex spiraling around her. The keeper's screams echoed like a death knell, and with every twist, the icy grip tightened against her skin, its clammy touch stinging. Just when she thought she'd drown in despair, a frenzied burst of light shot from her core, illuminating the darkness one last time. She could barely see what was ahead. Shadowy figures danced at the edges, faces twisted in pain. But they were not lost to her, they were memories. Fractured moments of struggle and sorrow wrapped around her, urging her onwards. "Embrace the light," some whispered, their voices a chorus pushing her forward. But the keeper was no fool. With a surge of rage, it unfurled, filling the void with its ghastly form. Tendrils snaked around her, a chilling embrace that sent shivers racing up her spine. The icy appendages roped around her wrists and ankles, pulling her back against its raw power. "You fool! You think they can save you? They only know pain?" it bellowed, eyes blazing with fury. The anguished faces of the lost souls flickered like dying embers at her sides. But Lisa shot back. The warmth she radiated now formed a fierce shield. She had not fought merely for herself. She fought for them. The keeper's essence clawed at her, trying to find her weak points, but it only showed her the very core of its being, the cyclical dance of fear and despair that it fed upon. With a heavy heart, Lisa whispered into the darkness, "You're not just a monster. You're trapped. I can help you find freedom too." The keeper halted in its advance, the unfurling tendrils quivering as if considering her words. "Freedom?" echoed, incredulous. "I have been bound to this abyss for eternity." Yes, there it was. A crack appeared in the keeper's cold facade, a glimmer of vulnerability she clung to. Invigorated by the spirits around her, Lisa let the warmth blaze brighter. Then let me help you. Together we can break these chains. The keeper recoiled, a sound much like a sob escaping from its jagged maw. Lisa could feel the anguish spilling into her heart. Her resolve stiffened as she lunged against the binding darkness, holding onto her tightly. You don't have to do this alone. In that moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. Time stood still as the tether of agony she felt from the keeper merged with her own. Their pain intertwined. Her heart raced, pulse thundering in her ears. A cocktail of fear and tethering empathy churning within her. But deep down, she realized the depths of this corruption. Hatred and sorrow danced with her light like shadow puppets caught in a flickering flame. Would she plunge further into the keeper's realm? Risk losing herself entirely? Could the balance of light and dark hold meaning beyond survival? Then, as if her thoughts summoned the inevitable, piercing icy claws clutched her heart. Pressure swelled around her, and the darkness surged with a feral desperation. Shadows twisted violently, ripping through the warmth she so fervently built. And oh! She cried out, a cry that resonated through the void. With every ounce of strength, she pushed against the darkness, defying the encroaching fear. But a gut-wrenching realization struck her. The keeper may not be the greatest threat here. It could only mirror what was already lurking inside her, an echo of doubt, terror, and ultimately despair. It thrived on the fear she dared not face. Would surrendering to the blackness lead to her salvation or complete annihilation? As the dark tendrils pressed deeper, she felt her life force waning, flickering beneath the wrathful pull. The boundary between salvation and doom loomed larger than ever, leaving her gasping for air as the abyss loomed closer. Was this the end? Or could she break free from this malevolent grip? What horror would she uncover as shadows whispered their chilling secrets around her? The icy grip only tightened, squeezing the breath from Lisa's lungs. Each pulse of despair echoed through her, a reminder that she was not just fighting for herself. She was battling the whispers of hundreds of souls dragged down into this abyss. They urged her onward, voices merging into a cacophony as desperation clawed at her throat. Let go. Join us, they cried. But Lisa fought against their pull. A shard of panic struck her mind, icy needles slicing through her thoughts. She could hear the keeper's voice beneath the swirling darkness, taunting, relentless. Do you not see? You are merely a flicker, a fleeting light destined to be snuffed out. No, Lisa gasped, the word tearing from her lips. She could feel the imminent collapse of her spirit. But the thought of succumbing to the dark sent a surge of defiance through her veins. With a primal roar, she pushed against the keeper's grasp again, igniting every warm memory she had left. Bright flashes surged in her mind, the laughter of her family, summer nights under starlit skies, the feeling of a gentle breeze that whispered promises of hope. Each cherished thought radiated like fire, resisting the frozen despair. I am not alone, she screamed, feeling the bonds begin to loosen. Suddenly, the space around her shifted. It wasn't just ice and darkness. It began to form walls, jagged rocks, the contours of a frozen cavern that closed in around her. Lisa could almost see the keeper merging with the shadows of the cave. Grotesque shapes writhed in the corners, eyes glinting with a hunger that sent waves of sick dread through her as her light pushed back. Tendrils of the keeper danced towards her again, searching for cracks in her resolve. Foolish girl, you cannot extinguish what you have become. I am more than a monster, I am your fate. The roar shook the cavern, reverberating deep into her bones. But in that moment of fear, she felt a cold fury igniting inside her, the urge to break free. You are not my fate, she declared firmly, stepping into an array of shimmering brightness that threatened to push the keeper away completely. With each pulse of her light, memories twisted around, forming a bridge between her past and her present. She envisioned the keeper not as a foe but as the embodiment of her own fears, shackles forged from isolation and anguish. Then a flash of fear gripped her heart. Could she really save it? Would understanding this dark force lead to her own damnation? The thought tugged at her mind even as she stood resolutely against the suffocating darkness. She was standing on the precipice of decision, teetering between sacrifice and survival. You can be free. Together we can escape, she pleaded, desperation lacing her voice. The keeper paused, its tendrils vibrating with uncertainty. A flicker of light broke through its shadowy form, revealing glimpses of what it once was, a guardian, desperate, twisted by its own chains. A horrifying realization washed over her. The keeper held the horror of its past so closely that it couldn't let go. The cavern trembled violently, the balance between them shifting as the shadows screamed. Shards of ice began to rain around her, shattering like glass. "Let me help you," Lisa shouted, her own light flaring, engulfing the keeper in a radiant blaze. But just then, a deep, rumbling growl erupted from the shadows, drowning her voice. The walls of the cavern quaked, and she realized the darkness was more than just the keeper. It was the embodiment of every lost soul, every ounce of despair this place had ever held. Just when Lisa thought she would wring the keeper's soul with hope, it recoiled, fear morphing into rage. The ground split beneath her, revealing a chasm, a dark void calling her deeper into the abyss. "Run!" A voice erupted from the depths, a malevolent whisper that resonated through her soul, chilling her to the core. The keeper lunged again, but this time the looming shadows engulfed her light, pulling her back as she screamed into the darkness. The boundary blurring between her and it. What awaited Lisa in that swirling void? Lurking beyond the light? Would she be courageous enough to face the terrifying truth? Or would she be dragged into the depths of the keeper's darkest legacy? The swirling darkness ebbed and flowed around Lisa, a relentless tide threatening to consume her. Her heart raced, the weight of every lost soul bearing down on her shoulders. She could feel their lingering despair, the echoes of their pain resonating deep within her. But amidst the suffocating dread, a flicker of fire ignited her spirit. "I won't let you go," she whispered, channeling all her warmth and memories into that single defiant thought. The shadows writhed, twisting and contorting around her like vengeful serpents. "You dare to resist? Your light will not save you," the keeper bellowed, its monstrous visage shifting, revealing deep, dark fractures holding memories of those it had consumed. Lisa's resolve hardened. If she could harness that flickering light inside of her, she could confront the keeper, not just as a force of darkness, but as a captive soul yearning for release. "Every single soul you've trapped feels the pain," she shouted, the intensity of her voice cutting through the heavy veil of fear. The cavern trembled, the shadows whispering harshly among themselves, uncertain. With that clarity, she said, "I know you're scared. You've been imprisoned just as long as they have." A pause hung in the air, thick with tension. Did the keeper hesitate? The ground shook, tentacles of darkness reaching for her as Lisa steadied her breath. "We're all tied to our fears, but together we can find a way out." She was tapping into their shared pain, every flicker of warmth, every hint of laughter she had ever known shone brightly against the icy grip of despair. "Let us break this curse." The crimson glow of her determination illuminated the icy cavern, casting long shadows across the once abysmal landscape. For every soul that had cried for release, she could feel their hopes intermingling with hers, a chorus rising in unity. The keeper roared, resisting the swell of light, but Lisa pushed forward, eyes fixed on that glimmering promise of freedom. "Join us," Lisa cried out, her voice reverberating, manifesting as radiant beams that sliced through the encroaching dark. The shadows momentarily recoiled, hissing in anger, but their ferocity faltered, faded under the brilliance she conjured. "Fight against your pain. We're stronger together." From the depths, a low growl came, a mix of rage and surprised introspection. It began to tremble, and for the first time, Lisa saw it not just as a monster but as a reflection of her own fears, deep-rooted, tangled, but not insurmountable. "That's right. You know what it is to lose," Lisa urged, pulling on that connection between darkness and light. "You've lost so many just as I have. We can help each other. Let them go." The keeper's cries morphed into a wail, one that echoed with anguish reverberating through the cavern. Shadows flickered, losing their grip on their captive forms, caught in her affirmations. Lisa could feel the spirits coiling around her, absorbing the fullness of her light. That tenuous bond connecting them all tight convulsed. The walls shook, cracking open the very fabric of the abyss. "No, you will not take this from me," it roared, but Lisa held firm. "You don't own us. None of us belong in this darkness." She gathered the tumult of voices behind her lost words, laughter, breaths reminisced and forgotten, and hurled them into the keeper's face, melding their strength into an unbreakable force. Suddenly, the shadows shrieked, retreating as the light surged forth in a blinding cascade. A pulse of ancient energy flowed through her, igniting the collective essence trapped within the darkness. It illuminated the cavern, and with every heartbeat, the keeper began to unravel, a tangled yarn of despair unfurling in waves. "Yes," Lisa shouted, as the keeper trembled, its monstrous form splitting apart like a shattered glass mosaic. "You can be free, a guardian free from vengeance." She lunged forward, reaching out to grasp the darkness that still writhed, coaxing it into acceptance. In that incandescent moment, Lisa felt everything burst forth: hope, love, and a deep understanding of what it meant to find freedom in vulnerability. Together, the light radiated around them like a cosmic symphony, echoes of long overdue laughter rising as the last remnants of despair fell away. With a final roar, the keeper dissolved into streams of shimmering light, merging with the spirits that had waited in anguish for so long. A euphoric scream filled the cavern, a cacophony of voices uniting, soaring toward liberation, and then silence. Lisa opened her eyes, blinking against the brilliant cascade that enveloped her. It wasn't just bright. It was warm, a tender embrace that washed over her like a soft breeze. With every breath, she could feel the burden lift, the weight of anguish melting away, evaporating into nothing. She turned, searching, and there was Danny smiling, whole, eyes shining like beacons. Relief surged through her, and she rushed into his arms, warmth flooding her heart. "We did it," she breathed, tears spilling down her cheeks. "It's over," he whispered, holding her fiercely, grounding her in the shimmering light around them. No shadows remained, just the remnants of memories transformed, freed from pain. Together, they looked out into the vast expanse where the past that had shackled them began to dissipate. Something beautiful awaited them, vibrantly unraveling before their eyes. Their journey through darkness had led them to this freedom to embrace the day without fear of the shadows. As they stepped into the warmth, basking in the light of newfound hope, Lisa glanced back one last time, looking at the brilliant colors blazing through remnants of darkness. Gratitude surged through her. The souls were free, and so were they. Fairview was waiting, vibrant and alive, as the sun peeked over the horizon. Lisa whispered, "Let us make the most of it." And Danny nodded, a smile breaking across his face as they walked hand in hand toward a brighter future. One where light reigned. Don't you dare stop here. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. Let us talk about what happens next. And don't forget to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second.